Greetings, my friends, and welcome to Dark Souls Sea Endless Nights, Episode 11. Today we are going back through this undead parish because we happen to need to go to a secret passage that was mentioned, which might, well, according to this key, let's see, allow us to go to the lower undead burg, wherever that is. However, before that time, we have other concerns to address. See, we saw an elevator and we don't know where it goes, but that will likely be most interesting to find the answer for. We don't want to abandon this place before we've explored all of it. So, let's see what we can do, what we can find, and who we shall end up having to face down there. Behold! One is open, one is closed. I suppose I'll enter this way. Now, firstly, notice there's a landing there before this opening that we can exit here onto to bring us out into our Firelink Shrine again. So, we want to go to that landing because we know there are areas of Firelink Shrine that it will allow us to access which we haven't been able to access before. Namely, it looks like it'll be the way up to the bird's nest. But we want to make sure that this elevator is at the bottom, in case we, I don't know, fall off the trail. That way we can just easily get back up here without having to worry. Whee! Remember all that wasted time where we tried to find a way to get back up there? Or, technically speaking, I suppose, get up there in the first place. Looks like the game already had something in mind for us. Well, looks like we'll have to try to make a jump. Goodness, these physics are a little bit difficult to deal with, but we'll make it work. Now, I think we want to go over there first, but it looks like there's also another jump we could potentially make over here in order to go up that way. That might be something that we need to actually make use of, but we'll find out after we go in this direction. And firstly, get that, and then return up the elevator, then to here again. Ooh! Awkward. Jumping is so freaking hard in Dark Souls. Sorry for the wasted time, people. Huh? Where's that snoring sound coming from? That's weird. Hey there, despondent one. What do you have to say?
Why, what a surprise. I didn't expect you to make it. Oh, somebody rang the bell. Wait, was it you? You never give up, do you? I don't know how you do it. Well, don't stop now. Only one more. But it's going to be suicide.
Well, we shall have to find out. Is it down this way? Oh, wish I remembered how to get to the elevator. We'll just have to find it. Okay. Oh! Darn, I keep falling off the wrong side. That's deeply unfortunate. I guess I can at least try this way first. Okay. Ah, so that was the answer all along. I was just doing it incorrectly. Undead Asylum F2 West Key. Let's see. We had the F2 East Key. We now have the West one. Opens West Iron Bars of Undead Asylum Floor 2. Key to the iron bars on the west side of the second floor. The Undead Asylum is a giant undead prison, segmented by countless iron bars. But even if a hero found a key in Lordran to liberate this prison, would he have the means or heart to ever come back? Well, I think I will. I like that. Ooh, is this a develop? Oh, no. It's not a shiny developer message like in our dear Elden Ring. Praise the sun! Guess it's time to see about going down here. Getting my souls back. that skeleton? Can you count the stairs now? Dun, 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 dun. Oh, that was just a streak of awkwardness. Gosh, bad decisions one after the other. Oh well. Where is that snoring coming from? You'd think someone would be visible. Oh, connection lost. I hope everything's okay. Nope, can't see anything that's asleep right here. Crow seems to be awake. Ah, well. Do 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 do. Ah. So there's an inside area that we can explore here. But from this angle, we can't reach the nest. Also, we see eggs are present there. And that's curious. The crow's down there, the nest is up here. What's up with that? Let's consider what this will entail. We who have been dropped here by the crow in the first place are placed into this world, delivered like a proverbial baby by a stork. Now, we enter the nest, curl up into a fetal position, although remaining sort of on the balls of our feet, and are therefore in the shape of an egg. We're re-entering a state akin to an unborn individual. And through remaining here, in the nest, we're going to journey back to see what happened before our sort of rebirth in this land of lords and undead. We, as this little parcel, go back to the asylum. And we find ourselves now, I guess I should say, in another nest, hatching once more in this other world, or other place in this world. A very interesting sort of situation, don't you think? Notice also, before anything else, there were not torch-bearing hollows here previously. These are new enemies that have been placed possibly as lookouts to await our return. Someone expected that there might be an undead coming from this direction. It's very awkward how their lock-on is breaking off. Let's see how these torch hollows fare. Will they beat me as badly as those previous ones, or will I actually be able to properly engage them? Oh no! Even worse. Three, but not four. The fourth granted me death. Funny how that works out. Death immediately after rebirth. It's a shame, really. Well, I'll just have to go back and see that that changes. That I retcon what shall actually have happened in that third life. Or maybe I just start again and rewrite things. Come on, buddy. Goodness, that was far too risky. Let's see about finding a proper bonfire once we get back to the asylum. After all, we have something interesting to test. Because it's only supposed to be in Lordran that we can take care of our souls and actually spend them on advancing. Let's see if we still have that option just because we've been to Lordran before. Fortunately, we do know that there actually are bonfires in the Undead Asylum. So it's not as if that's impossible. Once again, 2 eggs, 1 self. One thing is not like the other. An undead, a human, amongst the birds. I wonder what this means. Am I making myself a child to this crow? How might we undead relate to the crows? Whoa! This isn't so good. Oh, but I finally overcame them. Death has been defeated. Now let's see if we can meet an old friend. Merchant Ed.
You, give me warm, give me soft.
A smaller bird. In a nest very similar to that one up there. You might say this is a microcosm of the greater crow. So, the crow brings us places, allows us to fulfill the prophecy that is supposedly in existence, and is therefore some sort of servant of whoever is actually promoting said prophecy. This bird wants us to give them warmth. And how do they respond when we give them something that is warm? Let's test it out with humanity. We know humanity is a fuel source. It actually produces flames, and so should be relevant here. In fact, let's give them twin humanities. We have two. We might as well. No response. Well, I don't know exactly what we should do, but I'm going to exit out and load back in again. See if that does the trick.
You, give me warm, give me soft.
Oh, you want more, huh? Well, I'll just take this item that you offered for trade since you're supposedly a merchant, and then I'll see about giving you something else, sure. A rare ring of sacrifice that appears to bear a fire opal. Now that's interesting, as it looks sort of like a smoldering coal. But opals aren't quite exactly that. They're stones. And because this is a fire opal, that means this fire is locked in stone. It's petrified, as if you want it to never change. I wonder what that's about. But let's see what this rare ring of sacrifice actually is. We have ring slots. We have rings. Let's see what it has to go with. Die, losing nothing, nullifying curses. Ring breaks. This mystical ring created in the sacrificial rite of Velka, goddess of sin. The magenta-shaded ring is especially rare. Now that's interesting, calling it magenta-shaded. See, magenta is a shade that is a sort of purpley red. That, if you know Elden Ring, is actually identifiable with Destined Death. It's not just that Destined Death appears to be red in-game, and so you should think, well, why would it be like that? But no. See, Destined Death is that way because of the fact that it's been broken in half. Destined Death is originally the color of Gloam. It's a purpley color. Magenta, you might say. And in the 1.0 version of Elden Ring, you could actually see the color that it was intended to be. A sort of pinkish purple, as wielded by Malekith the Black Blade if you got to Farum Azula during 1.0. And that translates to magenta. Destined Death, made with a sacrificial rite of Velka. Very curious, this mystical ring. But why is it being associated with Destined Death? The interesting thing here is its wearer will lose nothing upon death and will be freed from any curse whatsoever, but the ring breaks. You know what that means? Ring of Sacrifice allows you to come back from the grave. This rare Ring of Sacrifice is a revival token. And because it's linked with the colors of Destined Death, and we know that if we look to Elden Ring, you have a maiden that was reborn in the lands between who happens to be associated with destined death. A certain Melina, whose eye you can see is shaded that same magenta hue if you go on to the Frenzy Flame ending. Well, for one, that implies Melina had a different identity, or at least a different life, before death. Because she's being linked with Velka here. Nothing is lost, supposedly. But to be fair, Melina is a weird case, insofar as she actually lost her memories and had to recover them when she reached the Erd Tree. So she is associated with revival, but she's not getting all of the benefits that this rare Ring of Sacrifice actually gives. I wonder, should that mean that there is a different Ring of Sacrifice that we're able to obtain? Let's try to see exactly what's going on via humanity rather than twin humanities. See, this bird asked us for another trade, and we have things that we can give him. Or her, rather. This little bitty miniature crow. Let us offer one fine humanity. Oh no, I don't have humanity. Guess I'll have to try to find it somewhere. I wonder, would you consider the soul of a nameless soldier to be warm?
No. No.
Okay, so souls are not warm.
That no soft.
But the dark of humanity, that's warm. That brings fire and heat. Interesting. Let's see, what else do we have to offer? I don't know. I know that birds will sometimes use rubbish to construct their nests. This says it has no value, but let's see if the bird disagrees with the game. Ah, no response. That's just exactly like what we got with the twin humanities, so let's see what the bird will give us in trade.
You. Give me warm. Give me soft.
I should also say, the fact that the rare Ring of Sacrifice is black, but also with a hue of magenta added into it, a sort of purpley iridescence, actually, ooh, titanite junk. That's interesting. Because the rubbish tells us about the Undead Berg, in that case. The Undead Berg is associated with titanite chunks because Lordran is associated with titanite chunks. And the Undead Berg is populated by hollows that went to Lordran from outside the lands between in order to investigate these titanite chunks. I wonder, is that saying the entire situation where they have to dwell in rubbish is connected somehow here? I think what this means is that the crows are trying to teach us about the world. And I think this also says, because the priest of Velka was black, or I should say wearing a black robe, and the rare Ring of Sacrifice is black but with hues that are also found in crow feathers. See this particular purplish blue shade in particular? That's found on the feathers of crows in spades. So we have a very interesting connection here. Velka is trying to teach us lessons despite the fact that we are finding that she is a sort of absent god by connotation and analysis earlier. She's not directly interfering with things, but she is probably one of the parties who's actually responsible for the undead prophecy, which is why one of her crows is leading us back and forth from this Undead Asylum. And why we find a merchant that'll help teach us things here. I wonder, do I have anything else that this crow interested in warmth might have interest in? I don't know. Maybe I can find out later. Thank you. I shall indeed. Oh no! A trap! And this one is not called an asylum demon, but a stray demon. Whoa! What the heck was that? Why is it... Ooh, that's some nasty stuff. I'll have to stay well out of the way of that thing's burst of power there. Try some hit and run tactics. It being called a stray is really interesting. That implies it's somehow separated from the rest of the demon population. Obviously, it's the case that it's not in Lordran, where we've been finding quite a few demons. But I'm not sure that's the end of it, because the other one was an asylum demon, but is the exact same. So I'm thinking it being called a stray might be communicating something about the nature of that type of demons in general. They might be disconnected from the rest of the demons in a social sense or something like that, choosing to journey out of Lordran and abandon their home. I don't know why that would be, but it does ask you an interesting sort of question. Gets you thinking. Oh no! Bugger. And there we go. Seems I'm sharpening myself as time goes on. There's that weird snoring again. It is troublesome that I'll have to get past those torch hollows again, given the fact that my souls are a little bit deeper in. Wonder if I could find a way to get to a bonfire. Oh, it went much faster this time. This crow knows I'm serious. Anyway, see? bluish and purplish shades on the feathers. It's very serious about making sure we know this connection. And you can even see little tinges of red in those feathers that fell off there. All the colors of the rare ring of sacrifice. Gosh, I always hate torch-bearing enemies in these games. But yeah, let's try to go around this hole this time. There we are. And it has the level up option, which means we have found some sort of hidden truth. It's not just that at Lordran you can manipulate souls like that. It's that you have to have gone to Lordran. Anyway, let's get ourselves killed against a demon again. Dear, oh dear. That's interesting. The color of its explosion is the same as the color of the effect on my ring. That gives me greater defenses when I'm low on HP. Oh, I really should. Okay, good. And that's fine. Fortunately, there is a bonfire right there. This is gonna be an annoying fight, but I'll make it work. What the heck is that? Okay, and there's a fog door. Gosh, it is way harder to hit it in this version. Wow. That hit harder than I thought it would. Sorry if this is especially boring for you. It's a bit of a slow and awkward fight, this one. I wonder if there'll actually be summon signs around here. That would be interesting. Oh, hey, another bonfire. Well, I'm not resting at that one. Doesn't look like there are any summon signs. Real shame. And there, now that that annoyance is out of the way, it would seem we have a new avenue to explore. One humanity, one homeward bone. Excellent. Wonder what a demon has homeward bone associated with it on. Ah, I know. This is saying that demon was once a human. And they had the same thing as the undead going on, where the will to return to home was so powerful that it enchanted their bones and made it possible to return to a previous bonfire as such. This is trying to tell us that these demons and the undead are not actually so different. Now that is interesting. The legendary Titanite slab, which everyone has been looking for, wasn't in Lordran. That's freaking huge. Unimaginably so. The entire reason there was so much conflict brought about there was apparently to seek out these Titanite slabs. It went from the land of the gods to the land of the undead because people were flooding in to find chunks and the legendary slabs. Look at this. Titanite slab for weapon reinforcement. Legendary slabs were the domain of the gods. Reinforces standard weapon to 15 or crystal or lightning weapons to 5. Legendary slabs are the heirlooms of the nameless blacksmith deity. Well, he, like the furtive pygmy and the Witch of Izalith, must have had his name scrubbed out purposefully from history. It's weird how a certain Gwen and his cohorts tend to do that when there are enemies that they've decided to turn against, who were once allies. Weapons forged with this slab become legendary weapons. Rare legendary weapons. So that's interesting. Legendary slab yields legendary weapons, makes sense, but heirlooms also implies that blacksmith deity is probably dead. Awkwardness. I imagine he was probably slaughtered by the other gods, who wanted his powerful capacity to create legendary weapons and were afraid that he wouldn't actually allow them to get their own. Perhaps there was some sort of conflict of interest. Maybe when the Witch of Izalith and Gwen broke up, the blacksmith deity decided that he liked the Witch of Izalith more, so he'd go to their camp. But he was slain instead. Jealousy is not a good look. So let's see here. This should be the opening we're looking for. Tally-ho! Yes, I think this is the only way out. Oh? Broken open iron bars. That's pretty unusual. These things were emphasized as almost being indestructible, yet somehow someone seems to have bent them forward from the inside and climbed out this way. It's much too small a gap for the Titanite demon, or rather, the demon that dropped the legendary Titanite slab. So, does that imply that this demon, the stray demon, transformed into one right there? I don't think so, but it is an interesting question. Who could have bent this iron, or these iron bars forward like that? And now we're back in the tutorial area. That's some deep water I gotta add. Looks like this was possibly at one point intended to be some sort of well, almost. But I don't know, maybe not. What could cause them to build that sort of situation there? Why would you need to form a ladder to transit your way across here? Excellent. Looks like the demon earned me 4 levels. Now, what should I put it in? I'll go with 1 vitality, 1 endurance, 2... What was that sound? No. I gotta check something. I remember wanting to check out this. What does this require? 16 strength. Okay. So I can get that minimal strength, and because it scales with both dexterity and strength to an equal amount, that should make this a perfect weapon to just continue on one of those while having the minimal stats for the other. In theory. Yep, I will go with that. So 2 strength, and I'll actually go 1 dexterity, 1 vitality. Brings my HP up, and gives me an opportunity for if I need to fight things in a little bit of a more close and personal sense. I imagine this is a little bit more wieldy. Okay, that's interesting. With 2 hands, it's actually quite slow. Very good for crowd control. I like that. Okay. Relatively fast, too. Now, what's on the other side? We know we can go down to that arena through here. And that, I think, just brings us further into the tutorial area. Is there anywhere else to go from this direction? Oh. A Black Knight. I'll have to approach this carefully. Can't get backstabs this time. Oh, that poor Hollow. Got impaled on the bars. And you know something? I bet it was that Black Knight who was able to rip open the bars in that other area. Makes sense. They are extremely strong. Well, time to come back here in just a second. This area is new, that way is not. Oh dear, that's some good reach on ass. I have something other than just the chunk I'll drop this time. Okay, back in the groove of things. Sorry about that cheap shot there. Oh, stun locked. That's an unfortunate way to die. You know, that's interesting. Those Black Knights, their swords' hilts are an arc curving downwards. That's actually reminiscent to the Rune of Death. The inverse of Marika's rune in design, where there would be an arc that is going upwards. Wonder what that means. I'll have to investigate the body after this. See if there's any other clues that we can glean off of this individual. Goodness, we're just stabbing the crotch over and over. Guess it makes sense. It's the one really softly armored part of the body. Oh, good! Not only do we get a different type of Titanite chunk, we also get a Black Knight's shield. Excellent business. This is our first type of Titanite that is not just the standard. Red Titanite chunk. Titanite chunk for weapon reinforcement. Red Titanite has powerful fire energy. Reinforces fire weapons to +9 and chaos weapons to +4. With the discovery of chunks in Lordran, the race to locate the legendary slabs has begun. But could they be merely myth? No, I've got one! Ha ha! But before we go in there, let's check the shield. Black Knight's shield. Actually, I'm going to equip it so we can look at it properly, but first we see what the text says. Shield of the Black Knights that wander Lordran. They're wandering. That's interesting. That implies that the one who is leading them, their lord or lady, is missing currently. They don't have leadership, so they're wandering around somewhat aimlessly or fulfilling the desires that their lord or lady left behind. A flowing canal is chiseled deeply into its face. Now that's interesting. That speaks of an affinity to water, and water... That's the opposite of fire at the very least. So, I wonder why that would be embraced by people who seem at the very least to be agents of the Age of Fire. Long ago, Black Knights faced the Chaos Demons. So not just demons, Chaos Demons. There's a specificity to this. the red Titanite chunk was claimed by that one because it fought with the Chaos Demons. And they were charred black, but their shields became highly resistant to fire. That's extremely interesting because I've heard tale that they were turned black for a different reason entirely. I wonder exactly what this means. Is it saying that that was the exact reason they were charred black? Or are people saying, no. It's juxtaposed to it, but it's saying they were charred black for a different reason. They were charred black otherwise. I think because of the fact that the shields became highly resistant to fire, this might suggest that the demons that probably are wielding fire might be responsible for their shields becoming more potent. That faced with those difficulties, they might have improvised some improvements on their shields as a result. Okay, now let's look at it. Channel in the face. Okay. So, yeah, it almost looks like there are multiple channels. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's see. If we're counting those, yep. You've got 4 pieces, 6 pieces, 7 pieces, 8. Wait. Yeah. Okay, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 different segments here. You've got channels flowing between them, it looks like. Although maybe it's saying you should look at it from the bottom over here and say that this is a channel where all the water flows through the different sub-channels after it goes in through there. So you got 13 slabs of metal. You have 8, what are they called? Rivets in the front section there, with a section nearest my fist. So that's a struggle. Then you have 5. Gosh, I hate this standing animation. Why are you wiggling the shield back and forth? 9. 12. It looks like you've got 12 more rivets on each of those sides. Yes. So you got 8. You got 12. 12 makes 20. So in addition to the Crucible affiliation, or the 8 spokes of Dharma, which might make it to where, since these are black, they're associated with Velka. It's really unfortunate that there's no body remaining. I would have liked to look at that. So, 8, you have Karma, which is associated with sin and justice. There's rewards or penalties that are associated with your behavior in life. You could say that's karma. Karmic justice is the payment of sin. So you have 20 and 32 that are also included. Let's go for atomic readings. Sorry, I didn't have this prepared beforehand. Okay, 13. Aluminum. Aluminum is associated with weight-saving measures and innovation, if I remember correctly. It's a silvery metal, which is an interesting choice. Those black knights look really robust to have the association with aluminum going in there. You have magnesium. Now that's interesting. 12 is the elemental term for magnesium. It's the number of atomic weight associated with magnesium, I should say. And 12 talks about artificial life because it's associated with albinorix. Magnesium and the Black Knights. Does this mean that the Black Knights are automaton rather than actual people? That would be a very interesting read. Okay. You add 8 to either 12 or 13, you get 20, which is calcium. Calcium is associated with creating structure, its robusticity, protection, upholding the laws and principles of the realm, I guess. The Black Knights must have been enforcers. They're going about on an agenda trying to enforce something in the world. And 21, I still unfortunately don't have on this document, so I'm going to look it up for a second here. What is element 21? I always forget about that. Scandium. Scandium is associated with, similar to aluminum and calcium put together, structural integrity, innovation, and hidden potential. So the Black Knights are a sort of secret army that are acting as a hidden hand, probably for Velka, influencing this world behind the scenes, as she herself has taken a step back, but her knights and her other followers, like that confessor, or pardoner rather, are influencing things. Now this is interesting. I think this is actually the cell that we emerged from initially. Another body has been placed here. The one that was here has been removed. This new guy has completely died. But they were holding a peculiar doll. Let's see what a peculiar doll means. Oh, it's not an inventory item? It's not on there. Ah! It's a key item. A strange doll with strange dress. Now, it's worth noting here that dress is a complicated term. It doesn't necessarily mean outfit. It means attire, state of composure, what they have on them, but also their appearance. A strange doll in a strange, or in strange dress, not a strange dress, in strange dress. They appear to be wearing a cloak, but if we look very carefully, we'll notice doll joints and the fact that the face is the same texture as the legs and the arms and the torso. So they're wearing nothing but the cloak. If that's a cloak at all. Because you see, it could actually be the case that those are intended as fairy wings, in which case it's peculiar and in strange dress because it's not wearing anything at all. It's strange in the sense of the Japanese word hen. Hen is associated with hentai. Hentai is pornography. Hen is associated with perversion. So this could be saying it's a peculiar doll because it's naked. Or at the very least, the dress of the doll is strange because of the fact that it's naked. It's in a strange state, an unusual one, because usually people are clothed, and even dolls are usually wearing clothes. There was once an abomination who had no place in this world. She clutched this doll tightly, and eventually was drawn into a cold and lonely painted world. That we will have to put a pin in. An abomination that had no place in this world, so she went to a different world, somehow through a painting. Or a painter created this world. Now, there are other games that have this same sort of scenario. I know it's the case in, I think, Elder Scrolls Oblivion, where you go into a painted world and there's a troll that you have to defeat in there. So this is a general fantasy trope. In the same way that you create a world by, say, coding a video game, and you can look into it and you can play it, a different world can be created by writing a story or painting something. but they're taking it seriously in this regard, insofar as the in-game world is the world of the video game that was created by mortal hands. Typing along and seeing that it is brought into reality for the players who are living as the legendary, prophesied, chosen undead, living out a life here, and being reborn here, and dying here, and being reborn again. But then they're saying, even in this world, they're creating secondary worlds that you can travel to in the same way that by taking up a controller, you can travel to the game world. I bet we're going to find that someday. And that peculiar doll was held by a person who eventually ended up in the painted world, but who seems to have dropped it or given it to another in the course of their adventure through life. So that's interesting. We'll have to try to keep in mind who that is. Okay, that rolling is too slow. I think right now I am lightly equipped enough to where I could remove this short bow and this helmet, and it'll still unfortunately have me going too slow, so I'm gonna have to change the shield. I think I'll go back with the buckler again. And Hollow Warrior Helm, I believe we had.